Hi there, this is Carl Irwin, the Con Magician, and I've got something interesting to discuss with you. I've got a deck of cards here, and I'd probably have you shuffle the cards, check them over. They could be a borrowed deck, which never happens, but it could be, right? Cards are shuffled, and I want to try something interesting with you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have you just select any card. Go ahead and pick any card somewhere in the middle. Take one out, and that's two cards. One card right there. And go ahead and take a look at it and get that in your mind. You have the card. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to take your card and I'm going to place it back into the deck, right into the center, just like that. You can see it going in there. Now, what I want you to do is go ahead and picture it in your mind. Picture the card in your mind, and you can see the indexes and you can see the face of the card. Now, what I want you to do is imagine taking that card that you have in your head, sliding it out of the deck, turning it over, and imagine sliding it right back into the deck again. You got it? Let's take a look and see what's happened. What was your card? There you can see the Jack of Diamonds is the only card facing the wrong way inside the deck. And that's the trick. So I want to talk about this trick because it's an old trick, and it's got a lot of different handlings. It's one of these tricks that when I see a young person who knows one card trick and they want to show me a trick, they say, oh, let me show you a trick. Many of them try to do this trick. And this isn't a trick that I do, but I had a moment over my vacation last week. I was at the beach with my family, my extended family. So my nieces and nephews were there, and all the in-laws were all together. And I had one of my nephews was trying to do some tricks, and he wanted to show me this trick. And he kind of fumbled and bumbled around with it, as many kids do. And it operates on a really, really clever idea of having one card turned over on the face. And if you have one card turned over on the face, then you can turn the deck over at some point, have the selected card, whatever the selected card is, inserted back into the deck, and what happens is obviously it's facing the wrong way now. If you can right the deck, then you can show that their card has turned over. So it depends on these moves in secretly turning the deck over and keeping the card square so that when the deck is in this position with a card facing down on the face, that it is not seen. Now, the typical way that this is done is they'll have you select a card. They'll have the card turned over already at the beginning. They'll have you select a card. You take a card. They try to fumble around with it, like just turn it over or try to do this in their hands. And most people, especially young people, but most people in general, I find, when they're dealing with cards, it's like they have to have hands all the way around it because they'll just drop the cards all over the place. They're not comfortable with a deck of cards and able to hold it in such a way that they feel secure. So they'll do something like this, right, which is extremely obvious, obviously. And then the next part of this is that they'll have you try to put your card back in. And while they're doing it, they're doing this. They're trying to clamp the cards down as you try to put this in. And this causes problems. It can't get in. When it does get in, it starts to push cards out, and then they try to stop that. It's really, really kind of fumbly-bumbly trying to do this trick. And then, of course, after that's done, they have to find some way, now that all of the attention is on the cards, to turn it back over to do the revelation. And then after that, they got to clean up. Obviously, the card is left facing the wrong way. So I said, look, I'm going to do... First, what I did is I did the trick for him as the invisible deck. And the way I did that is I used a force to black queens, and I had queens sitting the wrong way, one in one quarter of the deck, one in the other. And once I got him to nail down a queen, I just revealed it from the side I needed to. And, of course, he was blown away by that. And I said, look, you want that trick to look like this. I said, I'm not going to teach you this trick, but I'll teach you a way to do the trick you're trying to do better. So I just did a quick kind of analysis with it with him, and this is what I came up with, was the presentation you saw. So what I instructed him to do was to have the bottom card face up already on the bottom of the deck. Now, I will say that if you're going to do this trick, I think a better way, if you have some control over the cards and you can do an overhand shuffle, is you should do a reversal, a reversal. And the way that works is that you have the cards face up. They've already been shuffled by somebody, or they're in play, they're in use. You have the cards facing up. You place your fingertips on the bottom of the deck, and you slide forward. And when you do this, you're jogging the bottom card out, and you're going to rotate the cards on top of that and then shuffle. And when I do this, I end up shuffling the cards on top of that single card, which is now facing up. So again, you have the cards facing up. You turn the deck, you push with the hand, and then you turn the cards over and you shuffle fairly on top. And that reverses the face card of the deck. Okay, so now I'm in this situation. I can take the cards, keep the bottom stock square so that card doesn't show. And I say, go ahead, take one from the middle. I always like to do that to avoid someone taking one from either side. I always say, take one from the middle, a random card from the middle. It's just an extra instruction that eliminates any kind of shenanigans with the deck, right? So they take a card, and then this is the moment, and I taught my nephew, I said, this is the moment when you do it. When they're looking at the card, they're focused on what this is, which means you have an opportunity to do something, but it's best to do nothing at all. Okay? So what I taught him was to take the cards, push them outward on the dealing hand like this, just a couple of inches, and then as they look at the card, you just go like this. Say, picture the card, go ahead and take a look at that card, show them the face like this, right? So you're going from here, rotate the hand, show the face, say, go ahead and look at your card, and then when you bring your hands down, just bring them straight down, and now the deck is reversed, and you're holding it kind of straddled in this way. The second thing I taught him was don't allow them to put the card into the deck. It really doesn't matter that they have a choice where to put it. It just matters that it's going into the deck. So what you do is you take the card, just put your hand out as if they're going to give it to you, and take the card back. You take the card, and then you say, I'm going to place it into the deck. Now, because I'm holding on to the cards, I don't have to pinch. I have some control. I can feel what's going on. It's a lot easier for me to control the situation. So I can push the card in. I can keep my pinky back here to keep cards from jogging. And then I slide it into the deck just like that. Now I need to get the deck flipped back over. So what I instructed him to do was to do essentially the reverse of that. What you tell them is to do something else. Now, they don't have anything in hand to do anything with, but you just need their mind to be doing something else. So the way this works is you say, go ahead and picture the card in your mind. And you're going to pick up the deck like we did before with the back, what they think is the back, facing the head. Okay, it's kind of the reverse of what we did before. You pick it up, you say, go ahead, picture it in your mind. Imagine that you can see the index and you can see the face. And as you do that, you just drop the hand back down. And in this moment, they're actually thinking of something else and not really paying attention to this. It's incredibly smooth. There's no move involved in it. You really don't have to take your hands off from beginning to end. You essentially have your hands in the same grip on the deck the whole time. Now at this point, you can spread after you do a move. And what I explained to him was it's good to have motivation. So rather than say, I'm going to make your card turn over in the deck, make them do something magical. Instead of saying, I'm going to make it turn over, say, now imagine that card in your mind and imagine reaching into the deck, into the middle, sliding it out. In fact, put your hand out here and pretend to do this. Good. Pretend to slide it out. Pretend to turn it over. And now pretend to push it back into the deck again. Let's take a look and see what happened. Now, you've increased the production value of the trick because you've incorporated the spectator into the action that is going to be revealed. And that's better than just calling that you're going to do something. It also extends the time of the presentation beyond the point where the dirty work has already happened. Now there's an expectation from this point where you're having them do something where they would expect to see something dirty and nothing's going to happen. It's going to be clean. So psychologically, when you ask them to pretend to take it out, in their mind, nothing has happened at this point. They take the card out, fictitiously, they turn it over, they pretend to, and then they push it back in, pretend to do so. And in their mind, presentationally, if not actually, at least superficially, this is when something has happened. Nothing had happened before they did that, and now something has happened, when in fact, everything has already happened. So this is just good psychologically. Now, I haven't had to move my hands on the cards at all. I haven't had to take any risks. I did all the action, all the motions. Now I can spread the cards, and it's good. I told him to have them name the card. What was the card you put in there? They named the card. You spread it out, and of course it shows up. And then you kick that card out, and then you show it. Now, I told him that you can clean up after. Once you get to this point, really the trick is done. It's not a big deal. But I'll say to you, what you can do is you just drop the card on top, or you can hand the card out to them, which keeps them busy. They're looking at the card. They don't need to, but they are. They're reaching out to take it. And what you can do, or you drop it on top, what you can do is just do the reverse of that shuffle. You take the cards, they're already facing down. The card that needs to be reversed is on the bottom. I just grab it in biddle, I slide it forward as I turn, and then I shuffle, give it one run, and I've actually reversed the card, and I'm clean again. This is a very good presentation for this trick, I think. And in fact, I presented it to him using that method first before I explained it, and he was fooled, even though he knew how the trick worked. It all went right by. So it's a good idea. Take older tricks that maybe are kind of easy and think about the nuanced ways that you can do it that can be efficient. How can you do this with less movement, with less fumbling around? How can I incorporate the spectator more into the action? How can I make the presentation more interesting? Just making the trick more efficient, and by doing that, you make it more mature and more, I think, more fitting to a common magician like you or myself that takes what we do seriously. These are not just the crazy uncle doing one trick here and there, but doing real serious kind of illusions that are a cut above the rest. So anyway, those are some thoughts on an old card trick that you can play around with. Best of luck with that. Happy magicking.